Hey guys, how's it going? It is the Conservative Christian here, coming back at you guys with another video, and today is going to be a pretty short one. Today I'm pretty much just going to be talking about the Jussie Smollett case. I know I'm late to the party on this one, but the only reason why I'm actually talking about this is because I'm really here to mostly just kind of give my thoughts on where we are right now. But in case you guys aren't well versed, if you're unfamiliar at this time with the Jussie Smollett case, I encourage you to look it up. I'll quickly go over it just to give some context, but I also recommend that you look into it because there might be things I'm forgetting or missing or whatever. So please do that. But basically, the Jussie Smollett case, from what I've understood from seeing some of the stuff that like Ben Shapiro has posted and stuff like that, is that this is a guy who lives in Chicago. Basically, he claims that he was out one night at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and he went to go get to Subway to get some food, and supposedly two white people wearing MAGA hats, they poured bleach on him, put a noose around his neck, and before they ran off, they said, "This is MAGA country," and then Jussie called his manager before he called the police, and by the time he called the police, he mentioned that he was on the phone with his manager. So whenever the police were contacted, they asked to retrieve his phone to see what was going on, but he wouldn't give over his phone initially. Basically, just the initial thing was that this was essentially a case that was supposedly a hate crime against Jussie Smollett because he's a black homosexual, and he even made sure that he mentioned the homosexual part on an interview, on an interview with some person's talk show or whatever, even though the only context based off what was said was that, if anything, this was actually only a hate crime based on race. Pretty much as things unfolded, we found out this guy, he's an actor from Empire. There's evidence now showing that this was probably something that he did because he wanted to take advantage of the victim mentality by faking a hate crime to get people to support him so that he could get paid more money, so he could gain more relevance. More evidence came out to show that two brothers who were personal trainers of Jussie Smollett were actually the ones who he paid them to stage this hate crime. They had receipts showing that these two men did in fact purchase bleach and a noose. All of the evidence that we have supports the fact that he lied about this whole thing. And keep in mind that this is the majority of people who were involved in this, from the law to from the police officers to the judicial courts, as far as I know, were mostly black. This is something that happened in Chicago. And one more thing I forgot to mention, that it's at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's really cold. And Chicago is a mostly Democrat state, anyways. Two things that are also very important to take note in this whole case. So, I mean, the overall likelihood of this happening is a possibility. It's not even a probability. And obviously, at first, it was not to say that this wasn't. When I first heard about it, I'm like, obviously, I thought that this was probably crap. But I waited. I did the responsible thing, which I consider to be the responsible and the reasonable thing. I've been kind of trying to follow that rule that Ben Shapiro has, where he doesn't want to start talking about any political issue or anything that is new on the scene until at least 48 hours after it's happened, because that's when the majority of the evidence comes forward. And sure enough, that's pretty much when the majority of the evidence did come forward. So you have a story of a man who's losing relevance in a show that not a lot of people probably watched. He used his sexual orientation and his race as a springboard to claim victimhood, and as a result, and here's the thing too, right? Like, all the people, I think the only person who didn't, the reason why the charges were dropped were because of the judge, I think, is who it was. But everyone from the police officers involved to the people who investigated this whole thing, most of them black, keep in mind, that even all of them will say to this day that this man lied, that he is lying. And I don't know the color of the judge. It shouldn't matter, but it's going to be relevant to my point I'm about to make here in a second. But the judge dropped the case, and I'm wanting to assume that they're black, and here's why. People are flipping tables over this, and even the police that were involved who were blacks. Even the investigators who were involved in this who were black also are actually pretty upset about this. And the fact that the charges were dropped, to me, tells me something. And given the fact that everyone is outraged, I see this as a win. Here's why. Now, real quick, I believe that the police, I don't know what the terminology is. I can't remember what it's called, but they're pushing into this. They're like, no, this is not going to go unchecked. Like we know that this man is guilty, and the judge is dropping the charges. So I think that now there's going to be more stuff happening. I don't know if the judge is going I don't know if is impeached the right word. I don't know if they're going to try and get the judge to resign or get him fired. But everyone who was involved in this case, mind you, mostly black people from what I know, because this is Chicago we're talking about here. All of these people are trying to push for Jussie Smollett to be to pay consequences, to do some time. Now, to be fair, from what I know, he isn't just getting off. He had like $150,000 fee for everything that he did, and this, mind you, this is 16 felonies. This whole case involved 16 felonies on Jussie Smollett's case, as a basis for everything that he did that was against the law. Some to include things like like abusing the 911 service. That can be a felony. I don't know who the person would be, because he didn't really specifically say anyone, but falsifying claims against people is illegal, even though there weren't really any names given of any white people who supposedly did this. I don't even know what the other 14 are, but those are just 2 of them. But this is a serious thing, and everyone got upset that he didn't get in prison. Now, obviously, if people are still willing to seek justice, then go for it. I'm all about justice. This guy, I also want to try and be a little bit lenient to some degree, but I guess with the severity of the case, maybe it's the reason why no one wants to just let it go. And the reason why I feel like I'm a little more willing to let it go is because of this. People on the right side are pissed off because Jussie Smollett is not serving time. I'm not on the left, obviously. I'm conservative, but the reason why I'm not really, I don't know, I've kind of really backed away from the story is because whatever happens, it's a win. It's a win for the conservatives. Here's why. Even if he got convicted, great. That would be the system worked, right? This man got what he deserved. Now, I am a man of I would like to consider myself to try and be gracious. Jussie Smollett has a clean record from what I know, and he probably feels like a victim, and he's probably he's a young person, and he's probably pretty stupid in some ways, and he wanted to gain some relevancy, and he probably does buy into the whole well, I can't say Black Lives Matter, I'm not 100% sure, but he buys into that whole black victim narrative. And so it's like, okay, well, you're people have gotten off with far worse. There's a rapper or someone who committed something far worse than something like this. I don't remember what the crime was. I know it was worse than something like this, and he got put on house arrest, and he broke his house arrest like, I don't know exactly how many times. It was more than 3. It was like 6 or something like that. 16. I want to say there was a 6 in there. He broke his probation like 16 times, and he only always got a slap on the wrist from the judge until he went too far, and the judge eventually then brought the hammer down, and then the people were saying that this judge was racist, even though this judge was actually very lenient with him, and how many times he broke the law. The reason why I see this as a win, especially for the conservatives, is because worst case scenario, even if all of this stuff does not go the way conservatives want to, even if Jussie Smollett never faces any time and all he ends up paying is a $150 fine, I'll go farther. Let's assume nothing happens, right? Let's assume he doesn't even have the $150,000 fine. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt here. Even if that's the case, the reason why this is a win for conservatives is because this is going to be an arrow in our quiver that we can later use to debunk this idiotic notion of white privilege. Because we've seen it time and time again. We've seen the interactions with cops and black people. Even if the cop is justified, if the cop does something, if he roughhouses the black person or he shoots them and it's justified, the Black Lives Matter crowd goes crazy and they lose their minds because the facts don't matter. Here is an instance of a situation of a black man who nothing happened to him at all. He had to go through some court hearings, whatever, but he's off. He got off. And despite the fact that multiple people involved in this case still wanted to bring him down, and he's still getting off, this is, I think, a win for conservatives. They want to keep pushing for it. Okay, fine, I get it. If you want full justice, that's cool. I don't think justice is always necessary for a win. Sometimes you have to, it's as cliche as it is, sometimes you have to lose a battle to win the war. And I'm going to be personally using this story later if I confront anyone who wants to try and bring the white privilege narrative into a conversation, because Jussie Smollett right now is a prime example of a man who had interactions with the law and nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to him at all. I personally, again, I was talking about the judge. I don't know if the judge was black, and the reason why I brought that up and I thought that it was relevant is because here are my thoughts. If the judge is black, I personally think that the reason why the judge dropped the charges was because, let's be honest, Chicago is ground zero for the Black Lives Matter movement. This judge did not want to. They didn't want to imprison this man because he was black. Probably. I'm giving my opinion here. I'm not saying this is how it is. And even if the cop was white, then I still think that it's the same concept. It's either the black men defending their own because they've seen all the stuff on TV of all these black people getting put in jail for supposedly injustice. And then here in a case when you have everyone involved saying that this man is clearly guilty by evidence, the judge is dismissing that. It seems to me that this is just, whether the judge was white or black, I think that this is the Black Lives Matter movement, the ideology being put into motion here. I think that if the judge was black, that he's looking out for his own, so to speak. He notices that this man was black, and it doesn't matter what the evidence is, because he's black, he's going to stand by him and say he's innocent because he must be innocent because he's black. That's the most racist thing that the most racist thought process you can go through, that someone can't commit crime simply because they're black. And of course, if they're white, then maybe they don't want to do that because they believe that ideology, or they don't want to be seen as someone who was part of the system. Either way you spin it, it's still in favor of the Black Lives Matter crowd, the people who buy into that victim mentality. So honestly, conservatives out there, I wouldn't worry too much about this myself. I know that the people still want to press this. I personally don't care anymore, because I'm definitely going to remember this the next time someone tries to talk to me about my white privilege or whatever the case may be. This is proof positive that white privilege does not exist, right here. So, honestly, if you just take this from an ideological standpoint, it makes sense that people across the board, including the people who were involved, with the exception of the judge, they want to press further because when these people have already invested time into this, these people know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Jussie Smollett is sticking to the lie. Jussie has lied so many times that he now believes his own lie. All of the evidence is against him. There isn't, as far as I know, there isn't even one bit of evidence that you can take and say, okay, well, maybe we can spin this story a different way based on this. No, this is case closed, case shut. It is beyond a shadow of a doubt that Jussie Smollett has lied and is lying still. And as far as I know, he will continue to lie. Even if he gets sentenced, he's going to lie, getting sent to jail. He's going to tell all the inmates that the system was out to get him and that he did nothing wrong. As far as I'm concerned, that's what's going to happen. It doesn't matter. He's sticking to the guns. He's sticking to his guns. He's sticking to the narrative the lie that he has told himself so many times that he now believes that it's true. So, I know I said this was going to be short. Sorry, it's a little bit longer, but I tend to rant and then I yeah. Anyways, so I guess those are kind of my thoughts on this. And I guess that's pretty much all I have to say about this. I don't want to keep talking, otherwise I'll probably just end up repeating myself and going off on different tangents that aren't relevant to this story right now. So, guys, don't worry too much about this. I know that conservatives are about justice, regardless of who it is. But I think we can maybe let this one go. I mean, let's think about this for 1 second, right? There was no actual individual person that was accused of being the supposed white person who did this to him. There's no one whose life is being ruined because of this. Based on that is the reason why I'm willing to show a little bit of grace, because Jussie Smollett didn't say that it was some person. I mean, technically, if you want to get technical, and maybe this is where the conservatives are going with this. Sorry, I just thought of this. I have to say this real quick. I think maybe the reason why maybe the conservatives want to keep going with this is because it ruins their reputation, and you know it does, right? So while there may not have been two names given or two individuals according to the cameras that were around, there were no two white individuals that Jussie Smollett could point to. There were no names of white people that he used to try and stick this on. Even though that's not the case, no one's individual life right now is necessarily being ruined because of this falsely. It is really, I guess, it is a wider concept. You know, now because I'm a conservative and I'm white, or because anyone else is a conservative, anyone who supports Trump who's a white person now, these people are going to catch flack on the other side. And I guess I understand that now. I just kind of thought of that. So, if that's the reason why conservatives are fighting for this so hard, you know, I totally get it. If you guys want to keep pushing for it, great. That's fine. I understand. But from my perspective, I know where I stand. I know that I'm not, you know, I know that I'm not racist. I don't have any ill feelings towards black people, which is why I'm just willing to let it go. It's like, look, guys, like, okay, maybe the system didn't work here, but who cares? Like, we know we're innocent. No one's specific life was ruined, and even now, and you can use this as ammo. Now, if you're a Trump supporter and someone tries to tell you that you're racist or that the system is racist, just point back to the Jussie Smollett case. If they're gonna use the Jussie Smollett case against you to say like, oh, you're a Trump supporter, that means that you like to tie nooses around people's necks and pour bleach on them and say this is MAGA country. They can be like, well, first of all, you don't know me, and no, I'm not. But you know, you do realize that there was no one who was found, and on top of that, he was let go. Like, where's the racism here? Because then you're essentially pointing the racism where it rightfully belongs, which is with Jussie Smollett. This man is borderline racist because he decided that that he was gonna make a fake hate crime and blame white people for it, just white people across the board. So you're going to be turning the table and pointing the finger back where it belongs, which is with Jussie Smollett, who's the real racist in this whole situation. So I get it. It's reputation. Reputation goes a long way. When you ruin someone's reputation, you can essentially ruin their life. That makes sense. I understand that. Maybe I'm just not as concerned right now because I live in a relatively smaller town. And I stay indoors most of the time, so obviously, you know, I don't really interact with a lot of people in real life who are like anti-Trump or anything, and if I do, they're honestly pretty civil about it in the first place. So, you know, maybe I'm just out of place here, in my opinion, based on the, you know, the bigger cities or the other places where this might be a more prominent issue. So, either way, I can see both sides, I guess. You know, I can see that people who, well, the majority of them really, the people who want to press, I'm more on the side of like, let's just, you know, if it doesn't work out, it's fine. Like, it's still a win for us. So, anyways, so thank you guys for watching. That's pretty much all I got. I don't want to keep going here. It's already 20 minutes. This video is supposed to, I thought this video was honestly going to be like 10 minutes. So those are my thoughts. Those are just my thoughts on where we are at right now with the Jussie Smollett case. We'll see what happens from here. If more information comes out and I feel like I need to change my opinion or whatever, then I will. But that's my opinion as of right now. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, I guess this is a conservative Christian signing out.